morning, right after the pledge, we would sing this old folk song, "This Land Is Your Land." Y'all remember that song? Now, I don't sing "This land is your land, this land is my land." From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. And I remember at a young age thinking, man, I live in a great land. Then one Saturday, I remember going to the Houston Public Library just to check out a book. My mother wanted to make sure that we would read it. And I went to the African American section. I pulled a book off the shelf, and the title of the book was Langston Hughes, A Collection of Poems. And I remember sitting over in a corner reading that book, and I ran across a poem entitled "The Negro Mother." That poem impressed me. That poem opened up my eyes. That poem did something to me that I didn't get in my public school, that I didn't get from my teacher. Can I revisit the poem? The Negro Mother. Children, I come back to you today to tell you a story of the long, dark way that I had to climb, that I had to know, in order that this race might live and grow. Look at my face. It's as dark as the night, yet shining like the sun with love's true light. I am the child they stole from the sand 300 years ago in Africa's land. I am the black girl who crossed the dark seas, carrying in my body the seed of the free. I am the woman who worked in the fields, bringing up the cotton and the corn to yield. I am the one who labored as a slave, beaten and mistreated for the work that I gave. Children sold away from me. Husbands sold too. No safety, no love, no respect was I due. I was a prey to white passion and a slave to white lust. Nothing was too low for me then in the dust, 300 years ago in the deepest south. But God put a song and a prayer in my mouth. God put a dream like steel in my soul. Now through my children, I'm reaching my goals. Now through my children, young and free, I realize the blessings that were denied to me. I couldn't read then. I couldn't write. I had nothing back there in the night. And sometimes the valley was so filled with the tears, but I had to keep on through those lonely years. And sometimes the road was so hot with the sun, but I had to keep on until my work was done. I had to keep on, no stopping for me, for I was the seed of the coming free. I nourished the seed that none could smother, deep in my breast, the Negro mother. I had but one hope then, but now through you dark ones of today, my dreams must come true. So all you children in the world out there, remember my sweat, my pain, my despair. Remember my years so filled with sorrow, and you make of those years a torch for tomorrow. Make of my past a road to the light, out of the darkness, the ignorance, the night. Lift high my banner out of the dust, and you stand like free men, supporting my trust. Believing what's right, and let none push you back. Remember the whip and the slaver's track. Remember how the strong and struggle and strife, they barred you the way and denied you the life. But you march forever forward, breaking down bars, looking forever upward at the sun and the stars. Oh, my dark children, may my dreams and my prayers impel you forever up the great stairs. For I will be with you, because there's no white brother who dares to keep down the children of the Negro mother. And from that poem, I realized that this good land called America that we live in is not as good as we think. Think about it. It's not as good as we think. In the creation days, 6 times in God's creation, he says it is good, 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 it is good. Then he created man and woman. Look back on what he said and said, it is very good. But look at our land. What God created and declared was good is no longer good. Do you watch the news? Do you know what's going on? You don't have to go far to know that there is bad news going on in America. Come on now. I know you're studious people. You're intellectuals. You read. You know what's going on. We need some good news. Somebody say good news. Somebody say good news. The proverb says, like cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a distant land. Have you ever had some bad news hit you so hard you didn't know what to do with yourself? You just kind of lost your focus, lost your desire, lost your passion because of some bad news. Come on now. In the past month, headlines read, dire prediction for the U.S. The Environmental Protection Agency says that because of global warming, the United States is in danger. The scientists say, we know what's happening. We don't know when it's going to happen. And the sad thing is, we can't do anything about it. That's bad news. You know about the war that's going on in Iraq, don't you? 4 years ago, our president stood up in the ship and declared, mission accomplished. And since he said that, 3,700 young men your age have died in the war. That's bad news. $200 million is spent every day to fund that war. $20 billion a month is going to fund that war. And yet our public schools don't even have adequate books. Come on now, kids go home sick because of mold in the school. You have a hard time getting loans and grants, but we have money to fund the war. I'm telling you, that's bad news. Hundreds and thousands of young people who have a bright future ahead of them are separated from their families months and even years at a time. That means some young girl is away from her daughter. That means some man is disconnected from his daddy. That's bad news. Just this week, a former pastor in Dallas was given 5 years in prison for molesting a 10-year-old boy. His church secretary had been his friend for 50 years. When she got sick and went to the hospital, he was taking care of her boy and fondling him at the same time. I'm telling you, we live in America, and that's bad news. In Nebraska, a middle school teacher, basketball coach, was being investigated for having an affair with a 13-year-old child. When she found out that they were investigating her, all of a sudden she and the child come up missing. We don't know where they are. That's bad news. Just Wednesday night, a teenager went out trick-or-treating, came back home to find her mama and daddy dead from gunshot wounds. I'm trying to tell you, there's bad news going on in America, and we need a word from a distant land. Reverend Mackey already said it. We don't need a word from the great thinkers in America. We don't need to hear from John Searle. We don't need to hear from Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. We don't need to hear from John F. Kennedy. We don't need to read anything else from these great thinkers, these brainiacs. We need a word from the Lord. We need a word from somebody who is not restricted by time, who is not bound in time, somebody who is higher than us, deeper than us, wider than us, got more power than us. We need a word from the Lord. I'm trying to tell you tonight, it's okay to go ahead and get your education. Go ahead and be involved in school. Go ahead and be a part of everything you can. But don't get so busy that you're not a part of a church, that you're not a part of a Bible study, that you're not a part of a Sunday school. Because sooner